The CIA experiment in Millbrook wasn't just about mind control. They were trying to merge parallel universes. And they succeeded. Now the townspeople were slowly being replaced by their darker selves. Only the photographs showed the truth. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to subscribe to Time Lost Stories and hit that notification bell. We bring you the most mind-bending mysteries where time and reality itself become puzzles. Your subscription helps us uncover more parallel universe mysteries that blur the line between science and the impossible. Now, let's journey back to 1978, to the town of Millbrook. October 1978. Millbrook, Vermont. A quiet American town of 3,247 residents. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone. Doors remained unlocked, and children played outside until dusk. Rebecca Shaw, 28 years old, was the town's only professional photographer. From her small studio on Main Street, she took portrait shots, documented weddings, and captured weekly photographs for the local newspaper. An ordinary life in an ordinary town. Until the photographs began showing the truth. October 5th, 1978. Rebecca was photographing the autumn festival in the town square. Children carved pumpkins, adults drank apple cider, and the local band played marches. A perfect New England fall day. While developing the photographs in her darkroom, something caught her attention. Mr. Henderson, the hardware store owner, who had lived in Millbrook for 35 years, the friendly old man who greeted everyone, looked different in the photograph. His facial features were the same, his clothes were the same, but his eyes were empty. There was no warmth in them, no familiarity, as if a stranger had dressed in Mr. Henderson's body. Rebecca shook her head. It was probably a bad shooting angle. Flash reflection, shadow play. These kinds of illusions were common in photography. The next day, she encountered Mr. Henderson on Main Street. "Good morning, Mr. Henderson," she called out. The man turned. His smile was in place, his wave was familiar. But something was missing. Instead of his usual warm, "Good morning, Rebecca dear," he simply said, "Good morning." His tone was mechanical, as if pronouncing the word for the first time. Rebecca's skin crawled. That week, she took more photographs. Town meeting, school recital, church picnic. She examined each photograph meticulously, and what she saw created a freezing terror. More people had that empty gaze. Mrs. Fletcher, the post office clerk. Young Danny Morrison, the high school football star. Dr. Palmer, the family physician. All of them had the same emptiness in their eyes. And worse, when she compared them with old photographs, she noticed their facial expressions had changed. People who previously had genuine smiles now smiled forcedly, as if someone else was living in their bodies, trying to imitate human behavior. Rebecca went to the town library. She began researching Millbrook's history. Maybe something similar had happened in the past. Maybe there was an explanation. Librarian Mrs. Winters, one of the rare people who still appeared unchanged, gave her access to old newspaper archives. "Are you looking for something?" Winters asked, worry evident in her eyes. Rebecca hesitated. "Just curious about the town's history, the 1950s, 60s, and such." Mrs. Winters quietly pulled out a file. "You might want to see these." From 1952, the government established a research facility outside town. The files were shocking. In 1952, the CIA and Department of Defense had established a facility near Millbrook called the Psychological Research Center. Official records stated they were conducting studies on decision-making under stress. But handwritten marginal notes told a different story. Phrases like parallel reality theory, quantum consciousness transfer, Alternative timeline access stood out. One document was particularly striking. Project Mirror, Phase 1 successful. Contact established with alternative Millbrook. Phase 2, creating consciousness bridge. Rebecca's hands began to tremble. Project Mirror, the Mirror Project, and Millbrook had been chosen as the experimental site. That night, Rebecca hung all her photographs on the wall in her studio. Photos of normal people. Photos of the changed. A pattern was emerging. The changed were generally people with the least contact with the outside world. Retirees, housewives, people maintaining the same routine for long periods, as if someone was selecting the least noticeable targets. There was a knock at the door. Rebecca startled. It was 11 p.m. Who could it be? When she opened the door, she saw Dr. Palmer. But this wasn't the Palmer she knew. His eyes had that empty expression. "Miss Shaw," he said in a monotone voice, "we want to see your photographs." "We?" Rebecca stepped back. "Who is we?" Palmer tilted his head at an odd angle. "Integration must be completed. Resistance delays the process. Please give us the photographs." Rebecca slammed the door shut and locked it. Escaping through the back door, she ran to the town's only beacon of hope, Mrs. Winters, who was still unchanged. Mrs. Winters received Rebecca in her home. The elderly woman sat in her living room reading an old journal. "I knew someone would eventually notice," she said quietly. "I've been waiting since 1952. Rebecca looked at her in shock. "What? You? Since 1952? Winters smiled. "My real name is Agnes Winter. In 1952, I worked as a secretary at Project Mirror. When I learned the project's true purpose, I fled. But it was too late." Agnes handed Rebecca the old journal. "These are the notes of head scientist Dr. Nathaniel Cross. He developed the theory of parallel universe access." The journal revealed a horrifying story. Dr. Cross had made a revolutionary discovery in quantum physics. At every decision point, the universe splits in two. One version of us makes one decision, the other version makes a different decision. Infinite parallel realities are created. Cross's crazy idea was this: it might be possible to communicate with these parallel versions, even swap places with them. "But why would he want to do that?" Rebecca asked. Agnes looked out the window. "Because in the other Millbrook, things went much better than here. The economy was stronger, people were healthier, the town was more successful. Cross wanted to create an optimized society. And what did he give in return?" "He gave them our Millbrook," Agnes said with a bitter smile. "A perfect exchange." But no one knew how different the other side was. Agnes produced more documents: photographs, notes, classified records. Parallel Millbrook had emerged from the same starting point but followed a completely different path. In the 1930s, the town's leadership had transformed into an authoritarian structure. People had lost their individuality, began being controlled under the name of collective consciousness. Millbrook in that universe appeared perfect on the surface: zero crime rate, high efficiency, complete order. But underneath lay a cold, emotionless, almost robotic society. "And now they're crossing over here," Rebecca said. Agnes nodded. "Cross's machine is gradually merging the two universes. Every day, more people are swapping with them, and the process is accelerating." "Can we stop the machine?" Rebecca asked. "Theoretically, yes," Agnes said, "but first we need to find it." The old Project Mirror facility is 10 kilometers north of town, in a wooded area. It was officially closed in 1965, but But it's still running, Rebecca completed. The women made their plans that night. The next morning, they would go to the facility and disable the machine. But time was running out. Rebecca noticed people passing outside looking through the window. All of them had the same empty expression. Before dawn, Rebecca and Agnes left town. An old dirt road, now an unused path, led them into deep forest. The facility was a concrete structure hidden by trees. It appeared abandoned from the outside, but as they approached, a low hum could be heard. The machine was still running. The main door was locked, but Agnes remembered the old security codes. As they entered, they encountered long corridors and dust-covered equipment. "This way?" Agnes said, using old memories to guide them. When they entered the main laboratory, the sight before them was breathtaking. A massive machine stood in the center of the room. Two large metal rings rotated at perpendicular angles to each other. Between them, a shimmering energy field. And in the energy field, two different images appeared. One, the familiar Millbrook. The other, the same but different Millbrook. Buildings more orderly, streets cleaner, but the people less human-like. "Finally, someone came," said an elderly voice. A man emerged from the corner, old, crippled, but with a sharp intelligence still gleaming in his eyes. Dr. Nathaniel Cross. You're still alive?" Agnes looked at him in shock. "Living." Cross laughed bitterly. "Is this living? I've been here for 26 years, Agnes, watching my machine, watching two worlds merge, creating my own hell." Rebecca stepped forward. "Hell? You're replacing people with soulless copies." "They're better," Cross said. "More efficient, more orderly, more perfect. Emotions are weakness. Chaos is imperfection. I'm merely accelerating evolution." "This is murder," Rebecca said. "They're taking the place of real people." Cross shook his head. "No, they're swapping places. Our people are now over there. Maybe they're happier there. Maybe it's a better life for them." Agnes ran to the control panel. "Rebecca, find the power sources. We must shut down the machine." But Cross pressed a button. Alarms began blaring. "Too late," he said. "Integration is at 73%. It will be complete in a week, and no one can stop it." Rebecca saw the electrical panels on the wall, the main fuse box, but to reach it, she'd have to get past Cross. "Agnes, can you reverse the machine?" Agnes examined the control panel. "Theoretically, maybe, but reversing the polarity would cause a massive energy surge. The entire facility would explode. We have no other choice." Cross walked toward Rebecca. "Foolish children. You don't understand the future. The new world is superior to your emotional chaos." Rebecca pushed Cross aside and reached the electrical panel. She pulled the main fuses. The machine's hum intensified. Agnes frantically pressed buttons. "I'm reversing the polarity. Everyone needs to get out." The machine began oscillating out of control. The energy field expanded, contracted, then grew violently. The images inside blurred, mixed together. "It's working!" Agnes shouted. "People are returning." But the facility can't hold. Walls began cracking. Ceiling pieces fell. Cross stood by his machine, watching his masterpiece's destruction. "No, no, my perfect world." Rebecca grabbed Agnes by the arm. "We need to go. Now!" The women ran through corridors. Behind them, explosions and collapses echoed. Just as they got outside, the facility imploded with a massive roar. When they returned to Millbrook, they immediately noticed the change. There was life in people's faces, warmth in their eyes. When Mr. Henderson saw Rebecca, he smiled. a real, genuine smile. "Rebecca, dear. How are you? I've been feeling strange for a few days, like I was in a dream." "You're fine now, Mr. Henderson," Rebecca said with relief. "You're all fine." But that night, while developing the last photographs in her darkroom, something caught her attention. In the final photograph of the town square, there was a silhouette standing in the corner. Familiar, but not familiar. Was it her own reflection, or another Rebecca from another universe still watching them? Summer, 1979. Millbrook returned to normal life. According to official records, the old research facility had been destroyed due to a gas leak in the forest. Dr. Cross's body was found under the rubble, but Rebecca knew the truth was far more complex. Agnes Winters quietly passed away in 1980. In her will, she left all Project Mirror documents to Rebecca. "Forget the history but preserve the truth," she had written. Rebecca continued with photography, but now she looked at every photograph more carefully. She looked at the eyes, at facial expressions, checking whether people were really themselves. And sometimes, very rarely, she saw something in a photograph. A shadow, a reflection, a small sign leaking from another reality. The machine was gone. But the boundaries between universes had been breached once, and some boundaries never fully close. Life went on in the town of Millbrook. People laughed, loved, lived. But before sleeping each night, Rebecca always wondered, were the people she met today really the people she knew? Or were they very, very similar alternatives? And the most terrifying question, when she looked in her own mirror, was the person she saw really her?